Hello everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to the marketplace. Coming up, Ghana to receive or to send its loan program request to the IMF for approval in March this year. That's according to the president.
We are on course for the IMF staff to present to the IMF Executive Board Ghana's program request for a $3 billion extended credit facility by the end of this month.
We'll subject that to analysis. Also, the president saying the external debt restructuring is going on well. But why are Eurobond holders getting the jitters? We will discuss. Plus, Ghana Stock Exchange gets ready to list 10 state-owned enterprises on the stock market.
Working with SIGA to have 10 SOEs list on the market, raise capital, and do the expansions and the productions of goods and services.
How will that impact the markets? We'll have more on that coming up on the marketplace. My name is Daryl. Thanks for being with us. Well, first up, the International Monetary Fund staff will present Ghana's loan program request to the board, the executive board, for approval by the end of March this year. That's according to President Kwawu. He disclosed this when he delivered the State of the Nation address. Now, Ghana is struggling with this worst economic crisis in a generation and is seeking $3 billion from the IMF as bailout. But approval is dependent on how successful our debt restructuring program is. Take a listen to the president address the nation Wednesday.
Mr. Speaker, having reached a staff-level agreement on 12 December 2022, after 5 months of intense negotiations and completion of most of the prior actions required under the agreement, we are on course for the IMF staff to present to the IMF Executive Board Ghana's program request for a $3 billion extended credit facility by the end of this month. Mr. Speaker, we're also making progress on the external debt negotiations since the government announced an external debt service suspension on 19th December 2022 for certain categories of external debt to ensure an orderly restructuring. This suspension is an interim emergency measure toward a comprehensive external debt operation which will contribute to the restoration of our debt sustainability in line with our request for debt treatment under the G20 Common Framework. I want to express our appreciation to members of the Paris Club and to the People's Republic of China for the cooperation they have so far exhibited to us in attempting to reach an agreement and in their attempt to establish an official credit committee. We look forward to their fast-tracking the needed financing assurances for IMF approval. We are confident that with their cooperation, we will reach our March deadline for going to the fund.
All right, so that was President Kwawu addressing the nation yesterday. Joining us on Zoom, Sarah Kwawu, who is a senior finance lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. Great to see you. And so, was that a true reflection of the state of our economy, and what stood out as you monitored, Sarah?
Okay, thank you very much, Daryl. The president started the speech on a good note by congratulating the women once it's a Women International Day. And so that was good. And the role that women play in our lives as a nation, as individuals. But then looking at the state of the nation, I was expecting that we have a state of the nation from for the past 1 year. We are in March. So March last year to March, or February last year to March this year, that will give us 1 year, because the president has been giving the state of the nation for some time now. But then looking at the real issues that are confronting the economy, the president chose to go back to when they assumed office, and then came down to what is happening, and little about what they are going to do, but just to talk about Ghana going to IMF, and we are going to get the deal by the end of the month. Now, one thing that struck me, which is the real state of the Ghanaian economy, the president spoke about, was that, yes, they've not been borrowing recklessly. They borrow to ensure that they provide infrastructure. He spoke about a lot of the things which sum up to the fear that some of us have over time, that Ghana has been borrowing to do almost everything, which tells me that our politicians, if they borrow to do almost everything, they shouldn't tell, when they are mounting the campaign platform, they shouldn't tell us when they come they are going to do A, B, and C. They should rather tell us.
That in itself, is it a true statement when he says that the government hasn't borrowed recklessly?
In fact, if he said that they've not borrowed recklessly, that might not be very factual. If you are borrowing and then you are actually not using the money for the things that you are supposed to use it for, so that the borrowing sometimes can pay for themselves. If you are not doing that, then it means that you are not borrowing to the principles and policies that you stood up for. And the point I was trying to make is that if the president is telling us they borrow for almost everything, it means that the next time that they mount the campaign platform, they should tell us, vote for us. We will come and borrow to do the things that we are promising that we are going to do for you. And it is your own money. You are the people who are going to pay for some of these things. Secondly, what is the use of our natural resources that we have in the country? Is it always the time that we have to borrow for development? Is that the way to go? What happened to the import substitution industry that we spoke about? The president talked about some of the one district, one factories that have been completed and those that are still going on. And over time, they believe that that is the way to go. But we have been saying that no, these factories have not somehow been able to deliver on their mandates. And so there should be a broader approach in looking at this one district, one factory. Some of them are at court because the banks are taking them for the loans that they have extended to some of these factories. So the financing package has not been very good. The president also talked about the Russia-Ukraine war, the COVID-19, where they have extended some grants to some businesses and some individuals. Do we need to give out grants when the people know that they are not going to pay back? Are we in the position to give freebies? And so when we need to have a conversation that as we are going forward and we are going to borrow money, you don't borrow money and go and dash it free of charge. Nobody does that. You borrow money, you give it out as loans or invest it into businesses, and these businesses will be in a position to repay the money that you have. And so if you are borrowing and you are not using it for productive activities, we will continue to go and borrow, and we will continue to restructure the debt from time to time. And so for me, the State of the Nation address, the president swiftly, smartly went back to the past, where we came from, where we are now, and failed to tell us how we would come to solve our problems, only to tell us that if we don't get the IMF deal, it means that our woes will continue to haunt us.
Well, I guess they didn't have anything to say about what to expect in the future because everything now seems hinged on an IMF program, and that's what they would like to focus on. But finally, the president talks about, he's so optimistic and confident that by the end of March, we are going to get the loan program request to the executive board and then get the approval. Do you see that happening, seeing the challenges that we still have with external debt restructuring?
Yeah, I think I have made this point over and over that it is not going to be very smooth for government, especially where we have the Chinese not being part of the entire G20 framework and the politics going on with Russia, Ukraine, and all those things that we have. So it becomes very difficult for government to get a deal easily. But hey, this is our president telling us that we are going to get a deal by the end of the month. It means that he has seen something. They are negotiating. We are not with the team. We don't know what our creditor community is telling us. And for that matter, we will only hold the president by his words. When it turns out not to be true, it is his presidency that is on the line. So for now, I will not doubt that particular one. I believe that they will live up to expectations.
We'll keep watching. Thank you so much, Kwawu, for your time this afternoon in the marketplace. I appreciate it. And so as we talk about external debt restructuring, there's news going around about Eurobond holders getting jittery, going after firms that ensure their payments of government securities. We're monitoring that for you. But also happening on the money market, we're keeping our eyes on is to do with Treasury Bills. Now, we know that last week, government rejected bids because the interest rates were high. A couple of days ago, we were told that government got 6.15 billion cedis from the latest auction, 121.6% oversubscription with an interest rate of 24%. Joining us to make sense of these developments is Joe Jackson, Director of Operations at Dalex Finance. Appreciate your time with us. How would you describe this? I don't want to call it drama, but that's a word that comes to mind that we witnessed in the last few days to do with the sale of Treasury bills.
Well, listen, it was very obvious that the rates at which Treasury bills were being taken up, the rate was ridiculously high and completely unsustainable. We're talking about, think about it, we are unable to pay multi-year bonds at 19%, which is an average cost of 19% and have defaulted. And yet, we say we will pay 91-day, 182-day bills at 36%. I'm sorry, that did not make sense at all. So some of us have been campaigning, be cautious, be cautious. And listen, I'm really excited about the fact that on Friday, the bids were rejected, albeit in a very cavalier manner. But I would also say to you that I want to say, well done. We've come down from highs of 36% to lows of 24.5%. And I truly believe that the rate is going to be driven down even more. Because why? At 24.5%, we were oversubscribed. That is evidence that the rate can come down more and more.
Well, I was going to ask you next how you see the markets playing out, seeing what is happening today. You think that the rates are going to go down further? And does that really solve the problem to do with the high interest rates? How do we go about it?
They won't solve all the problems to do with the high interest rates, but they will start to make a dent on those interest rates. We've got to get to a point where even if we go to lend to the government, we are not completely crowding out lending to the private sector. At that rate, who could compete at 36% from the government? If the rates come down, deposit rates across all the banks will come down. And in time, it will bring down lending rates, which is an absolutely good thing.
What else can
It is.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was going to ask what else government can do to bring down those rates.
Well, accept lower and lower bits. It can listen. The government is the government. It can indicate to the market. It has friendly bias. It can indicate to the market that come to me with lower bids. It doesn't have to wait for the bids to come in and reject them before we go through that whole rigmarole. But listen, we can say, come to me with lower bids. I won't be buying at higher bids, and indicate it clearly and use the market and drive it down. If it comes and you don't like it, don't buy it and wait. After all, you are oversubscribed.
I hope I can ask you about this. Yeah, I hope I can ask you about this as well. A decline in the bond market by 52.6%, 52.5% in the month of February amid the debt exchange debacle. What's your thinking about how the markets stand out?
Well, listen, I'll be honest with you, just a decline of what?
52.5. Yeah.
I thought that was actually pretty good, huh? Because the way our bond market was going, if the decline had been by 70-80%, I would not have been shocked. It's as simple as that. We're in the throes of the debt exchange. This person is included, that person is excluded. There's a U-turn. Listen, the way I see things, we just accept it. Listen, we've had a horrendous event. We've had a default in government bonds. We've had a domestic exchange program that created tremendous liquidity, profitability issues for the institutions. At this moment, a decline of 50%, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Restructuring, external debt restructuring for that matter, and news that some Eurobond holders are going after firms that insured their payments of government instruments. We heard the president yesterday talk about external debt restructuring going well, and so we are wondering why the Eurobond holders are getting the jitters.
Well, listen, government's default hasn't stopped. Please, government default hasn't stopped. The negotiation has not been concluded. So if there's a default and there's an insurance company that holds the whatever it is, the document, the swap paper or whatever insurance document we're talking about, they will have to pay. And I actually don't think it makes much of a difference, because as soon as the default started, I'm sure that insurance companies would have readied themselves for this event. I'm sure they would have readied their reinsurance and other institutions to get ready. This, I don't think makes a difference to the conversation that's going on, to the negotiation that's going on, and it is to be expected.
I was concerned about what the implications would be. The president, even yesterday, assured and committed to payment of matured coupons. And so there are no implications to this?
Listen, the truth of the matter is that we stop paying matured coupons. One of the reasons why the CD has been even fairly stable is that we've stopped paying Eurobond debt. And we've stopped paying pending the negotiation, right? That people are going after the insurance companies is neither here nor there. It doesn't change the essential negotiation going on. Our default happened months ago, and the negotiations are supposedly going on. We're engaging with China. We're engaging with the communities who are holding our Eurobond debt. Now, is it a smooth engagement? I sincerely doubt. Is it a really, really torturous process? I believe so. Will the individuals and institutions go to insurance companies who are holding the swap documents and paper? They will. But that doesn't change anything to the fundamental discussion and negotiation going on.
Yesterday's address by the president, your takeouts from his address, and did it come to you as, were you optimistic as a Ghanaian listening to the president about the future of our economy?
Listen, the way I would describe the government's, the president's State of the Nation address was simply this. First of all, I was glad that he accepted that the most important thing was the economy. It was also interesting to find out that he spent a little bit more time than I thought was needed talking about the events of the past and the achievements of the past. With respect to going forward, all he said was that I got you into this mess, and trust me, I'll get you out of it, and gave us a deadline, 22 months. Essentially, what it was that, trust me, I'll get you out of it. That's all he said. The only challenge we have is that there's a trust deficit between the public and the government, or the president in this case. And that trust deficit is at the core of the problem with the State of the Nation address, which is really this. Do the Ghanaian public trust the president when he says, trust me, I will get you out of this? Because that's essentially all he said. He didn't give any real indication as to what risks we are facing with the IMF program. He didn't talk about a plan B. He didn't say anything except, trust me, I will get you out of this. But there's a trust deficit.
Definitely, there are some trust issues there.
In the days ahead, we will get to know whether the people in this country believe what the government, the president has said. And in any case, the only way that trust deficit will be fixed is if in 3 weeks' time, by the end of March, for that deadline he gave us, he comes back to say, hello, fellow Ghanaians, I've got an IMF deal. Once he does that, hey, we say, hooray. If that doesn't happen, time is not far away.
All right.
The deadline is just, today is what? Today is the 9th.
All right.
30th of March is a few days away. So I will, at this moment, I'll say, let's be patient. The deadline is coming. He says, trust me. I think Ghanaians can afford to trust him for another 3 weeks. And we'll take it from there.
All right. We are counting down. Thank you so much, Joe Jackson. Happy to speak with you this afternoon, Director of Operations, Delex Finance. I appreciate your time with us. Let's switch gears, talk about something different, artificial intelligence. That has got everybody talking nowadays, how our world is changing by this technology. And joining me is an entrepreneur behind an AI platform for radiology. He's going to tell us more about it. Darlington Akugo. Appreciate your time with us this afternoon. Mino Health Labs. Mino Health Labs. Yeah. Let's talk about this concept of artificial intelligence. Recently, there was this talk about the chat GPT going on around us. So, what's the explanation of the technology of the AI, and why is it gaining popularity around the world?
Yes. That is very true. So ChatGPT has sort of taken over everyone's discussion. So the general technology behind ChatGPT is something called large language models. So basically, large language models, what they do is that you are building an AI system. AI systems always are built using data. So you feed it a lot of data. But interesting enough, all the data you're feeding it is on text, and you're just asking the AI system to predict the next word. But if you ask it to predict the next word, what happens is that to be able to know what word comes after the boy is going, you end up having to learn how sentences are structured, concept topics. So that's how come ChatGPT knows everything from finance, technology, economics, agric, It knows everything.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's
but that's not the story this afternoon. The story this afternoon is about a Ghanaian entrepreneur who has built an AI for radiology. Tell us about that.
Yes. So we started Mino Health AI Lab some years ago, and the focus was to democratize quality healthcare. So we're looking at the healthcare in Africa and other parts of the world. There's huge difference. There's huge discrepancies. And we believe that the best chance of, achieving that kind of equality and equity is by tapping into emerging tech. So that's how come we develop AI systems to do this. So out of that, we've done a lot of research, a lot of AI development, but primarily now we have this platform, minohealth.ai. So if you just visit the link, minohealth.ai, you get access to the platform. What it does basically is that you can give it a chest x-ray as an input. The AI system looks at this image to find about 14 different conditions. And then it's going to pinpoint exactly where these conditions are and how confident the AI system is. So interesting enough, the algorithm or the technique behind ChatGPT called Transformer, some of these algorithms are also what is behind this. But, instead of just asking ChatGPT, can you write me a story on this? We are using it for the healthcare applications to save lives. Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, I believe a lot of work has gone into this. What sort of investments did you have to make to come up with this AI?
Yeah, I mean, it did take us quite years of research and development into different areas. We looked at cancer, biotechnology, regenerative medicine. So we had to invest into, human resources, getting the skill sets that can actually build these AI systems, then getting the data. So working with a number of institutions, both in Ghana and internationally, we got a lot of funding to also support this work. So we have collaborations with Imperial College London with funding from the UK government. We also have, funding from Lacuna Fund. We collaborated with WHO and then other UN agencies like ITU, where we look at AI applications within radiology, but also the regulations and standards to guide this. A lot of work has gone into it. We've published some of the research. Some of them have also ended up as global standards and regulations.
Well, so I'm a business reporter, and whenever you are reporting, you're looking at how you're cutting down costs, how you're improving on revenue, how you're saving monies. With this technology, how does the country save money, cut down on costs, improve healthcare generally?
Yeah, so take, for example, if you've ever had to see a radiologist, what usually happens is that you go and do your imaging, and it can take you anywhere between a couple of days to even a couple of weeks before you get your reports or results back. Mm-hmm. And the reality is that in Ghana right now, we have about just 40 radiologists. The best estimate is still like less than 100. And those are including, new trainees and everything. And we have a population of about 30 million. Mm-hmm. So you're looking at least 300,000 to 600,000 people per radiologist. So the reality of what happens in Ghana now is that one radiologist works at multiple facilities. They call it locum. So you add 4 facilities and you switch between them.
Just have 1 minute.
Sure. So anyway, the way this works basically is that the radiologist has too many work to do, and the AI system takes on a number of this. It reduces the workload. So one radiologist can go from seeing, let's say, 20 patients per day to 100 or 200. The AI system just takes a few seconds and it's done.
Wow. This is impressive. We'll talk a bit more about AI and Mino Health AI labs that you've created this technology to handle the issues to do with chest conditions. I appreciate your time with us, Darlington. My name is Daryl. Thanks for watching The Marketplace. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. We'll be back same time tomorrow.